Mavis is a diesel engine who works for the quarry company shunting freight cars in their sidings. She has 6 small wheels hidden by side plates just like Toby's. Mavis is young and full of her own ideas. She loves rearranging things too and began putting Toby's cars in different places every day. This made Toby cross. Freight cars, he grumbled, should be where you want them, when you want them. Fiddlesticks, said Mavis and flounced away.
Like all of the original Thomas and Friends characters, Mavis was created by the Reverend W. Audrey, and is a fictional standard gauge diesel who works at the Ffarquhar quarry. She made her first appearance in the Railway series book Tramway Engines, which was published in 1972, and her last appearance in the Railway series was in Thomas and the Fat Controller's Engines, published in 1995. Mavis is based on a British Rail Class 04, specifically the versions built for tram roads, and Mavis is named after the Reverend W. Audrey's neighbor in Stroud. Audrey's model of Mavis was made in 1962, 10 years before she debuted in the Railway series, and as Tramways was the last book written by Wilbert Audrey for the Railway series, Mavis is the last character Wilbert Audrey created before he retired. It wouldn't be until 1992, in the 3rd season of Thomas and Friends, that Mavis would make her debut in the TV series, reprising her original role. Since her introduction, Mavis appeared as a supporting character up until Big World Big Adventures. From seasons 22 onwards, however, the stories would focus primarily on the STEAM team, and occasionally some of the side characters. As product of this, Mavis has not appeared since 2018, and it's honestly unlikely she will again. But with all of that being said, let's jump into her models, starting with Audrey's model. Audrey's model of Mavis was made using an Airfix kit, and was introduced to the Ffarquhar branch layout in 1964, again 8 years before Tramway Engines was published, and Audrey described the building of Mavis in the 1979 annual. Mavis came a year later than Daisy, though she didn't get a book until 1972. She was easy to make too. Her body is built up from an Airfix kit, and to make her go, I fitted her with a K's motor bogie. Her body is stuffed with lead and plasticine, and the extra weight makes her powerful and smooth running. Some images featured in A Day on Audrey's Railway show Mavis on the Ffarquhar Mark II layout without cowcatchers. These images suggest that Mavis did not originally have them, and that her model was used for at least 4 years before they were added. It currently is on display at the Narrow Gauge Railway Museum in Wales. Mavis's Gauge 1 model was a custom build, that being done by Peter Eves and Jeremy King. The model was built to run on Gauge 1 track, and painted in a glossy car body paint. Her model was made using a mix of plastic and brass, the latter of which would be the material for multiple new characters in the following series. Her chassis was sourced from a Gauge 1 locomotive made by Marklin, the BR-80, with her buffers, coupling frame, and brake pipes being made by 10 Mile. The chassis' AC motor was replaced by a DC motor to allow for easier running and maintenance. She shares the same buffer bases as Gordon. During the production of Season 6, Mavis's model was repainted in a matte finish, and given a completely new aluminum chassis, which was CNC machined, and powered by a DC motor, much like the other models at the time. She had a total of 7 different facial expressions sculpted for her, and all 7 were actually used on screen. You guys know how these were made, but for old time's sake, these were first sculpted in clay, and from that resin casts were made using a silicone mold. Mavis's crossface is now owned by Twitter user Tom's Props. She also had the same eye mechanism the other locomotives had, a mechanism that would move left and right and up and down, with the eyeballs themselves being coupled to brackets and locked in place by the faceplate. Mavis would see some minor modifications throughout the model era. For example, in Season 3 she gained a new horn, in Season 4 her middle lamp iron was removed, and her horn was changed again. In Season 6 her paint was given the matte finish, her eyebrows became thinner and longer, her middle lamp iron returned, and her horn changed yet again. In Season 7 her horn changed again, and then in Calling All Engines her horn... I'm not even gonna say it, you guys know what I'm gonna say. Basically she stayed relatively the same. However, they couldn't seem to figure out what horn they wanted her to have. Mavis's model is now currently on display at the Hara Model Railway Museum in Japan, and is currently wearing her concerned face. Now we'll jump into her CGI model, which was actually created from scratch by Nitrogen Studios, the model itself being quote-unquote hand-sculpted in Maya, a 3D animation and modeling software. Photographs of Mavis's Gauge 1 model were used for reference, and honestly I would say Mavis is one of those characters that transitioned pretty well into CGI, at least aesthetically. She looks basically identical to her original model. However, keen-eye fans will notice she has had some minor modifications, and would go through a few during the era. These include in Hero of the Rails, her face became slightly larger and her nose was remodeled. In Season 15, her horn sound changed. In Season 18, she gained a lamp of the same design as Charlie's, mounted on her right. And then in Season 19, the lamp moved to the lamp iron above her face, she gained a tail lamp, and her wheels became much more visible. However, much like the model, these are pretty minor modifications. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was the history of Mavis. I think with Mavis complete, we can officially call the Ffarquhar branch done. And I actually got a surprising amount of requests for this character recently. So hopefully this video makes up for that, and also for all of those times I said we were finishing the Ffarquhar crew when we really weren't. But now I'm pretty sure we really are. I guess you could include Henrietta, maybe Harold, other stuff like that, but the main cast is now complete. And hopefully you guys enjoyed figuring out a little bit more about Mavis. If you guys did enjoy, be sure to like and subscribe for even more Train content. And if there's anyone else you guys would like to see in this series, be sure to comment down below. And there's a chance it just might be the next video. As always guys, thanks again for watching. And hopefully, I'll see you guys in the next one.